And looks like Autumn Burchett is up a game, so we're going to see at least most of a game here. See a Growth Spiral getting tagged by Mystical Dispute. And Ari drawing and playing a third land. So we're still in the setup phase here.
I've been lucky enough throughout this tournament so far to not have to do too much commentary on Reclamation v. Reclamation. Instead, I was getting to watch Emma Handy just give an outrageous amount of great advice and insight into the style of matchup, because that's Emma's bread and butter. You know, she loves the Nexus of Fate type decks and Historic, and loves Wilderness Reclamation in general. And hearing her commentary on these decks has been really, really nice.
Well, don't sell yourself short. I have an open loss to you playing Team Reclamation well before it was good. But
wow. Wow. You know, it's almost like I'm there well before everyone else, but all I need is smart people to help, because I'm just like kind of smart. And most of the time I'm kind of dumb.
Nobody gets it done on their own. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something.
Oh man, who's the Japanese brewer who like is in the Hall of Fame? Oh no, it's gonna kill me. That sucks. He never play tests with teams. He just does it all by himself.
Oh, I think you're talking about I got his face.
Me too.
He won a Pro Tour like last year.
Yeah.
This is bugging me. He's one of my favorite players, actually.
Look, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this.
You really put us in a bad spot here, Todd, and I'm not going to let it go until I think of his name either, so you got to talk for a minute.
All right, so here we have the Team of Reclamation Mirror, which is going to be completely dominated by Narset's Reversal. You see it in hand here for Autumn Burchett, and you see Commence the Endgame from Ari Lax, and honestly, I cannot wait for this interaction to happen. I've seen it once already so far today. It was a complete blowout, and I loved every moment of it. Now, I will keep talking if you're doing some
Shota Yasuoka.
There it is. That's the one.
My God, I'm embarrassed.
He's the brain genius who is one of the smartest people on Earth.
Plays at lightning speed, too.
Yeah, of course. How can you play slow? How do people play slow? I don't understand. It's like, don't you have somewhere to be? Don't you do you not have any obligations? Is this all you have going on today?
I'm a bit envious of people who can play slow, because I've rushed myself into more than one bad spot.
Oh, absolutely. But I've also gotten to eat lunch, like a lot.
Oh, yeah. I'm not late for lunch. That's not anything that's at risk of happening.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I was late to lunch, dude. I could stand to skip a couple, probably.
Lax's land situation has cleaned up, so players actually have with a healthy amount of mana here. Explosion for 2, looking to clear the lone shark on the battlefield as Lax is at 12 here.
Yeah, I think the big deal is that with Lax at 12, any body on the table that's applying some amount of pressure is important. So Autumn's really just trying to figure out if they want to navigate this game in such a way where the entirety of the game piggybacks on this 2/2 shark, or maybe just let the expansion explosion resolve. You know, the Ether Gust is only going to make it better later, right? It's only going to effectively delay the inevitable for whatever it's worth. But with so many answers still in hand after this Ether Gust, this feels a lot like a memory lapse turn, and that's like exactly where you want to be when you have the advantage. And they even put it on the bottom. Ari put it on the bottom, understanding that the game is no longer about a mini explosion.
Right. Yeah, Lax is not interested in getting memory lapse. Draws Spectral Sailor, which is a little more of the same with this hand, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, at some point he's going to fall so far behind that he kind of has to go for a Wilderness Reclamation. And you'll notice that there's a really important trend in the Team of Reclamation mirror matches. And it's the person who goes for Wilderness Reclamation first, when both players have access to 4 or more mana, almost always loses the game. And that's because if you initiate a counterspell fight and you're shrinking yourself down to about 4 mana and your opponent has 6+, their combinations of Mystical Dispute, Ether Gust, and Negate are almost always going to trump you because you only have access to roughly one, and your Mystical Disputes are a ton, like, way worse than theirs.
So Lax is going to use the front side of an Uro, finds a Breeding Pool. A little bit more mana is welcome with his hand full of Haymakers. But right now, the game is kind of about this 2/2 Shark.
Yeah, so much about the 2/2 Shark. The Autumn's like not even wanting to use like Castle Vantress and stuff. They don't have like a ton of blue mana. They only have 3, which means they can't reversal and double counterspell. Unfortunately, their land situation is a little awkward here.
The Stomping Ground is interesting. It's the second red source for Explosion.
Right. And at some point that could be a big deal, but I actually think what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a huge counterspell fight in about 2 turns, and it's going to be won on using expansion off of double Stomping Ground.
Yeah, that is the other really interesting thing that Stomping Ground opens up. See Aurielax casting Spectral Sailor. What do you do with a Spectral Sailor?
I know there's like a song or a joke or something but like you posted about this the other day. I don't get it.
Autumn posted about it, so they got it stuck in my head. There's the old, I don't know if it's like a campfire song, but it's called Drunken Sailor. What do you do with the Drunken Sailor? And that repeats.
What do you do with a Drunken Sailor?
Yeah, early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Why does Aurielax have a pause button under his avatar? I'm trying to click it. Nothing's happening.
That would be the number 11.
Oh. Okay.
It's a new one. Comes after 10.
I thought we were watching this on YouTube and we were doing commentary on the YouTube video. Leave me alone! I'm trying to make this interesting!
Here's what you do with the Spectral Sailor. It is interesting.
Okay, you're right.
You have 2 world-class players and you want more. You were ungrateful.
You're right.
Hence the end game in response.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Ketria Triome, that just enough mana to cycle that'll work, though Lax now has this zombie. The game a little less about the Shark.
Only a little, though. Burchett is in a spot where they may be able to find lethal here at some point in the near future if they are able to find a combination of Wilderness Reclamation and Expansion Explosion. The problem is that now that the Commence the Endgame has resolved, thanks to Autumn putting the shields down for that Expansion Explosion, now we're in a tight spot where it's pretty hard to race. You know, you're taking 4 hits over 4 turns. Against an opponent that has Euro in the graveyard at the very least. The Shark's just not quite big enough to do it, and your hand is entirely reactive.
You know what I miss most about paper tournaments?
What's that?
The Cedric Phillips Zombie Army token.
Oh yeah, me too. I actually every time there's a token on Magic Arena that's not like a Star City token, I'm always just like, aw, that could have been my Beast token, or aw. I don't remember what your token was. Was it
a treasure?
Oh, it is a treasure. You have the best token.
Don't get too much of that in the standard.
Yeah. How's it feel to be on a coin?
It's nice.
Yeah.
All right, so the zombie has connected. Players hanging out. Shark's gonna trade hits there. So Lax is at 7. Burchett is at 11. We're getting into really interesting expansion explosion territory, and it's coming from both sides too.
Yeah, I'm just ready to see a Narset's reversal just kill somebody. Like, just surprise!
That is such cool technology.
It's really sweet.
I can't imagine I would have ever come up with that card.
Yeah, I had it in a couple of builds in like the 1 year ago version of this deck because it was good in the expansion explosion mirrors or whatever. But seeing it as like a direct answer to Commence the Endgame has been delightful.
So Lax is going to go with a different uncounterable effect. Makes a 4/4 Shark, leaving up 2 mana. Burchett interested in seizing an opportunity. Looks like explosion for 4.
Yeah, explosion for 4, and that's going to allow them to still be able to cast negate to protect. Oh, mystical dispute to protect. Sorry, one short of being able to negate, as I suppose. But the dispute is good enough here, according to just what's in Ari's hand.
Well, does Ari just have lethal now? If he just like counters this and gets the dispute, I guess is what he needs to have happen.
Okay, so he's going to go for a negate, and he's going to get hit with a dispute, and then the explosion's going to resolve. And the Shark Typhoon's already made the shark. The trigger that's still on the stack is draw a card. And then Reclamation into Expansion Explosion might be good enough. It looks like it is going to be. You're right.
From 11, looks mighty nice there. So he gets the dispute, but that counter, that's what he wanted.
No, for sure. No, you're right, dude.
Use Reclamation. And Ari Lax is looking to even this up. Zombie army that's going to knock Burchett to 6. That's not even important, though. This Explosion Reclamation, that was threatening tons of damage.
Yeah, and you have to think, maybe Autumn pulled the trigger a little too early on that Expansion Explosion for 1 to kill the Spectral Sailor. Obviously, it was going to represent a bunch of extra cards, but you have to wonder how differently the game would have played out if Autumn had just held up 2 mana for Narset's Reversal that entire time instead.
You're going to game 3. I mean, I feel like what happened there was Burchett had a hand in a position that looked really good if the game involved Ari continuing to miss land drops, right. Only maybe making 1 attempt a turn. And Burchett was feeling the pressure of Lax making those land drops, clawing back into that game. That zombie army token ended up biting, but Lax had enough to just win on the way back.
Yeah, that army did a lot of damage, and even though Ari kind of stumbled at the beginning, he had the necessary tools and he sequenced in the right ways and the right spots to get the job done, and that's basically all you can ask for, honestly.
It's going to be a deciding game 3. Players revisiting their sideboards, not looking to leave anything on the table here.
Yeah, and while they're doing that, make sure to check out one of our sponsors, Coalesce Apparel and Design. Check out coalesceapparel.shop. Use code SCG or code ROLLTOD for 10% off at checkout. You can check out some awesome shirts like Jim Davis's Pile Drivers jersey that you can get customized on the back with your own name. It's awesome. 80 is the new 60 with Yorian. And then Lightning Bolt University featuring the Lightning Bug. You can also get a Roll Todd shirt, which I'm wearing right now. They're awesome.
One of Coalesce's shirts is a Commander reference. It's keeping it 100.
Yes.
I'm a little bit miffed. My suggestion, keeping it 60, seemingly is not being taken under serious consideration. There's a shirt that says keeping it 60 and features a picture of me eating a sandwich.
Yeah, just keeping it 60. That's just like keeping it real, right? Keeping it 100.
Don't go nuts.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of pressure in my life.
Keep it 100.
Yeah,
you get to 100 sometimes. You can't just keep it there.
If you think I'm gonna be 100 all the time, you got another thing coming.
Yeah.
What about my 70% days? Okay.
Yeah, those are valid. I'm still me when I'm 70%.
Don't talk to me until I'm at least 75%.
It's like Burchett on the play on a mulligan. Players opening up with some lands. So no growth spiral on either side. That tends to be one of the major indicators of how the early game plays out.
Yeah, the growth spiral draws are generally pretty gruesome for the players that have it versus the players that don't, where they just kind of snowball and get ahead. But when no players have it, the game becomes a lot more interesting. And if you've been playing Magic a while, you'll notice a very similar pattern to the old Bitter Blossom days when Fairies was in Standard. And if you had a Fairies mirror, whoever went turn two Bitter Blossom usually was in a major advantageous position.
Oh, it was huge. It's kind of a funny thing. That card was, I guess, not as recently as I would guess, unbanned from Modern, and just like doesn't really matter in the format, which is such a huge difference from how oppressive it was when it was legal and standard and block constructed. And so we see Uro coming down for Burchett. Lax is just hanging out, making land drops. So it does give you some information too. When there's no spiraling happening, just land showing up, you generally are going to read your opponent for a counterspell.
Yeah, interesting. I actually was kind of half expecting Ari to Mystical Dispute the Euro there. The mana ramp when neither player has Growth Spiral is pretty important, and Mystical Dispute just gets so much worse as the game goes. But without access to another piece of interaction, it's possible that Ari figured that Resolved Wilderness Reclamation was just so much worse than just like the extra mana.
See end step Night Pack Ambusher. Once again, Lax is just going to hang out. 4 mana up, Ambusher attacks. That's going to connect Lax to 14. Ambusher trigger on the stack, so there is a wolf coming. And there's some tension there, because if you wait till the end step, that means there's a wolf, but if you just fire off your Ambusher in the main phase, you might get bit by a Reclamation.
Yeah, this is just an intricate dance where it's just all about sequencing, it's all about timing. You know, Autumn waited until the wolf resolved before they used the Brazen Bar to bounce the opposing Nightback Ambusher. Now they get to apply even more pressure during the end step. You know, there's no fear of something like Wilderness Reclamation because it is sorcery speed. And now Autumn just gets to untap with a Nightpack Ambusher versus effectively nothing. And that's just such an outrageously good position to be in. Even though their hand is just 2 copies of Wilderness Reclamation, you know, you have the ability to put pressure on the opponent.
Borrower got disputed, but the Ambusher and the Wolf are still hanging out. Here's an attack. Lax is going to try to put an Ambusher in front. That's going to hit by Petty Theft, and that means that this is also a window for Burchett to get one of these Reclamations down.
Yeah, and then that means still being able to cast the Brazen Borrower during the end step. It also means being able to activate Castle Vantress, and it really just means a huge mana advantage. Ari needs to peel his own Wilderness Reclamation right now, or Autumn is going to maybe win the game next turn.
So Lax is at 7, does not draw Reclamation. Play a 6th land, there's Commence the End Game. Goes with a Triumph tap, so we have the Ambusher still, and there's Mystical Dispute, could be the 5th mana. Burchett's going to flash in Borrower. And that one was face up, so we'll get an idea of what Lax's plan is pretty quick here, I imagine.
Yeah, I think his plan is to just play Nightpack Ambusher and try to block with Dispute backup, and is maybe considering doing this during upkeep in case Burchett draws some sort of counterspell of their own, like Mystical Dispute, that they could hardcast. But Autumn puts a stop on their upkeep in order to get a little scry action, which ends up being pretty good because they find an Expansion Explosion.
That is solid, and Lax's life total is not high. You see Reclamation to the bottom, Explosion to the top.
Yeah, and if all Ari has here is this Ambusher, I'm trying to figure out if Autumn has a 1-point Expansion Explosion and can pay for Mystical Dispute.
I believe they're 1 off.
Yeah, I think so too. And Autumn has not played a spell this turn, so one thing that they could do is just attack with just a Brazen Borrower, put Ari down to 4, and then they just get another wolf at the end of turn. And so it just continues to apply that pressure to Ari, and they don't have to commit anything else to the battlefield. They definitely don't have to commit anything to the battlefield on their turn.
Yeah. This Borrower attack, Autumn's thinking about maybe making a different attack. This one is very safe. This one is more threatening, though. Attacking with everything would put Lax to 1. Also gets Lax's Ambusher off the table, which is of some value.
I don't hate that. I just really don't want Autumn to walk into a one-mana Mystical Dispute here, though. Feels like they're so far ahead. It would be a tragedy to lose based on that small little thing.
I would expect Autumn to play around it, and they do. There's just 2 lethal threats on the table. Yeah, you might see Burchett walk into a dispute if both of these creatures die. Even then, I think they're going to be pretty deliberate about it. Lax going to hit land number 7. From 1 life. Does he have an avenue to deal with both of these creatures?
I mean, I don't see much here.
It might be something. Could attempt Explosion for 1 on the Borrower, and if he draws exactly Ether Gust, if not for the Explosion he doesn't know about, I mean, like maybe he tries to play that line because that's a way he sees that he could theoretically win.
Yeah, I think just without Wilderness Reclamation of his own, he just doesn't have the mana. I don't think Ari has a real way out here.
So he fires off that Explosion for 1, doesn't see the Gust, wouldn't have mattered if he did. Autumn Burchett is going to advance to the semifinals.